because it always is not his fault. All right, you know that as the team on the Ray Hadley morning program, or Chris Keddy here, you know, with the not responsible thing, we've all kind of seen what's going on here, right? When it's great, it's all him, and when it's not, oh, it's nothing to see here. And when it comes to excuses, they never blame themselves for the idea or the arguing or the pressure it puts on Australia. No, not at all. Remember, of course, when $450 million was spent on a referendum last year that went from 60-40 support to 60-40 no, of course, that wasn't his fault. That was...
Misinformation.
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 The misinformation which is there.
Some misinformation.
Now, of course, the economy, which has absolutely nothing to do with this government, unless, of course, the numbers are good and then it's all their responsibility. Well, of course, they have no responsibility for structural budget deficits that mean we will have a budget deficit for the next 40 years, out to 40 million, I almost said, 40 years out to the 2060s. The same government that turns around and has had record migration, and I've got a bit more to say about that later in the program. No. Again, they've got their excuses. You can't blame us. We're doing our best.
Inflation is moderating but lingering, especially in North America. Growth is weak in China and it's slowing in other major economies. The Middle East conflict has escalated, risking higher oil prices. The war in Ukraine continues. Supply chains are fragmenting while the global economy transforms.
So could you explain why other countries are cutting interest rates and ours are staying rock solid at generation highs? Nothing to see here. Well, get ready, because already being baked into the meat pie for us to consume between now and the next federal election, the ultimate excuse that all underperforming governments around the world, but certainly our underperforming government here, is going to use over and over and over again. In fact, they're doing it already. The number one reason why the economy, which was crap in 22, crap in 23, crap in 24, will still be crap in 25?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
What? Sorry, what? Donald Trump's going to be the reason why the economy doesn't get any better. Of course, he hasn't been president for the past 4 years, but okay. Now, you'll see this when you set out a not-so-sophisticated search party in and around the news at the moment, where there's lots of little people already preparing the ultimate excuse for 2025. Oh, you can't blame us, got a orange man bad. And on this comes from the SBS. The same, of course, over at the Union Superannuation news sites. And already we are being pre-cooked for those that are paying interest rates that are, as I said, generation high levels. Already we are being told that one of the reasons why there can be no changes when it comes to interest rates is Reserve Bank stands ready for Trump economic fallout. Okay, let's nip this one right in the bud. Let's just salt the earth before this one is able to actually take root, and they're going to have a new blame tree to lift their leg on. Join me over at camera 3. Now, who was the President of the United States when interest rates started going up in Australia in 2022? Was it Donald Trump, or was it this guy? Oh, now, when Australia did start having interest rates go up, who was the Prime Minister? Well, of course, it was Scott Morrison the first time, and that was in cost of living crisis. But who was the Prime Minister when they went up in June of 2022, or July, or August, September, October, November, December 2022? What about when they put up the rates in February of 2023? March of the same year, May of the same year, June of the same year, or November of 2020? Was Donald Trump No. Back to camera one. Now, of course, it's all Trump's fault ain't true. When it comes to the cost of living crisis, we know that, yes, there have been global issues, but there were global issues before the last election, but they were also personal about the former government, hence why Australians turned on them, booted them, got rid of them, on top of a whole bunch of other stuff. And as Richo says, people always get it right. You will not see me sooking or sucking my thumb about any of that stuff. And one of the reasons why this government has gone backwards year after year after year in the opinion polls is because of their handling of the economy. Their promise in 2022 was that life would be cheaper under an Albanese government. At the start of 2023, it was their promise that they were going to get on top of it this year. It was their promise at the start of 2024 that we were going to have a reset, and too little, too late tax cuts were somehow going to change everything. But we called that play. That it was billions of dollars on a slogan for the Prime Minister to try to change his political fortunes around. But guess what? Nothing happened. In fact, it all got worse. So they blamed Trump, they blamed misinformation, they blamed the war in Ukraine,